All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive and frankly pretty expensive decision for your home's infrastructure. We're talking about choosing the right boiler system for your plumbing and heating. Now, whether you're renovating, building from scratch, or you're just dealing with a sudden breakdown in the middle of winter, you've probably hit this exact crossroads. Do you go with a combi boiler or a traditional separate boiler and hot water tank? I know it sounds super technical, but as we're gonna see, it's a choice that absolutely dictates your daily comfort, how much space you have in your closets, and for sure, your wallet.
To really understand why this matters so much, we have to start with a scenario that pretty much all of us have experienced. What actually happens in your house when two people want a hot shower at the exact same time? Or picture this, you're enjoying a nice, relaxing, warm shower and suddenly someone in the kitchen cranks the hot water to scrub a frying pan. Do you instantly get blasted with freezing cold water? Or does the temperature hold perfectly steady? This, right here, is the ultimate hot water dilemma. And how your home handles that exact moment of simultaneous demand, that's entirely up to the boiler system hiding out in your utility room.
So we can kind of look at this like a heavyweight matchup to categorize our two main options. In one corner, we have the Combi boiler, which we can think of as the compact sprinter. It is incredibly fast, super agile, and takes up barely any room. But it can easily get overwhelmed if you ask it to do way too much at once. And in the other corner, we've got the separate boiler and hot water cylinder setup. This is our heavyweight marathoner. Sure, it requires a lot more space and preparation, but it has the serious endurance and capacity to deliver steady performance over a long, demanding haul.
All right, Section 1, meet the Combi boiler, our compact sprinter. So Combi is just short for a combination boiler, and its absolute defining feature? It is completely on demand. When you turn on your hot water tap, the boiler fires up and heats water directly from the main supply right in that very second. There's no giant tank sitting in a closet keeping dozens of gallons of water hot all day long, just in case you need it. It is a strictly localized, immediate heating process.
You can probably guess why these have become so incredibly popular. Because they are on demand, they completely eliminate the need for a bulky hot water cylinder. That makes installation way simpler and saves some seriously fundamental physical space in your home. They are perfectly suited for quick, intermittent bursts of use. You know, washing your hands, doing a quick load of dishes, or jumping in for a single shower. Plus, since you aren't storing hot water in a tank, you don't get that slow, storage-related heat loss over time. Literally, if you live in a smaller place with limited cupboard space, a Combi is usually a fantastic fit.
But there's always a catch, right? Understanding a Combi boiler's limits is absolutely crucial. Remember that sprinter analogy? During periods of high demand, let's say you're running a bath and then someone opens another hot tap across the house, the flow rate and the temperature are going to drop noticeably. It just physically cannot heat the water fast enough for two heavy outputs at once. On top of that, its performance is entirely reliant on your home's incoming mains water pressure. And finally, because it's an all-in-one unit, it's a single point of failure. If the Combi goes down, you lose both your home heating and your hot water in one fell swoop.
Let's move on to Section 2, the separate boiler system, our marathoner.
Now, this is your more traditional setup, often called a system or heat-only configuration. Here, the boiler's only job is to heat up water and send it over to a dedicated storage cylinder. That cylinder acts like a giant reservoir, holding on to that hot water until you need it, which allows it to supply a steady, immediate flow to all your taps and showers. So rather than scrambling to heat things on the fly, it relies on having a preheated built-in capacity ready to go at a moment's notice. The biggest perk of this marathoner? Absolute stability. Because you're drawing from a large, stored reservoir, your hot water availability stays rock steady even when multiple outlets are blasted open. It handles those simultaneous bathroom demand peaks effortlessly. If you've got a busy household, maybe 3 people all scrambling to get showered and out the door at 7 a.m., this built-in capacity is exactly what you need. Structurally, it is just a much better fit for larger homes that go through a lot of hot water.
But, just like the Combi, it has its own set of drawbacks. The biggest elephant in the room is the physical footprint. You need significantly more space to house not just the boiler itself, but that massive cylinder and all the extra pipework that goes with it. Also, depending on how well insulated your cylinder is, you can lose heat from that stored water over time. That means the boiler actually has to fire up occasionally just to keep the standby water hot. And of course, more components simply means more maintenance to think about over the lifespan of the system.
Okay, Section 3, Efficiency and Running Costs. Let's look at the long-term reality.
Now that we know how both setups work, we really have to weigh two different timelines when putting them head-to-head. Up front, the Combi boiler easily takes the win for simplicity. No storage tank, way less complex pipework, which makes the initial installation cleaner, faster, and much more space efficient. But if we shift our focus to long-term heavy use, this separate system really starts to pull ahead. Sure, it costs more up front because of those extra components, but it pays you back in long-term comfort by effortlessly handling heavy, simultaneous demand without those brutal temperature drops.
And here is a really fascinating point from our source material. When we're talking about running costs, efficiency isn't just about picking one system over the other. It's actually a total team effort. Honestly, many households get incredible performance from both setups as long as they're using modern condensing boilers. What truly moves the needle are all the auxiliary things, using smart controls and thermostats, making sure you have top-tier insulation on your pipes and cylinder, and most importantly, making sure the system aligns with your actual daily habits. I mean, a poorly insulated tank or a Combi boiler that's just wildly undersized for your family will both result in terrible efficiency.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 4, Making the Right Choice.
So, what does this all mean for you? How do we take all these technical details and turn them into a practical choice for your home? Well, it really just boils down to your specific environment. There is no absolute one-size-fits-all winner here. If you're in a smaller home with limited space and you mostly just use hot water in short, light bursts, the Combi boiler is your go-to. It keeps things simple. On the flip side, if you're in a large or super busy household where heavy, simultaneous hot water use is just a daily reality, the separate boiler with a tank is hands down the best way to get a smooth, consistent experience.
I absolutely love this takeaway from our sources, because it's practically the golden rule for this entire explainer. A well-matched system usually delivers the best balance of comfort, efficiency, and fewer day-to-day disappointments. Think about that last part. Fewer day-to-day disappointments. Because literally nobody wants a freezing cold shower when they aren't expecting it. Taking the time to properly size and match the technology to the way you actually live is the only surefire way to avoid that frustration.
So, I'm going to leave you with this one final thought. Before you pick up the phone and make an expensive call to a plumber, take a hard, honest look at your morning routine. Are you an on-demand sprinter who just wants speed and to save some space? Or do you realistically need the unstoppable capacity of a marathoner? Figuring that out is step one to a much more comfortable home. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope this helps you make a confident, informed choice.